So we've been in a message series, Built to Last, and Pastor Chuck, our teaching pastor, lead pastor, had asked me to share the message today, and being that Valentine's Day is tomorrow, I thought, wow, let's talk about what it means to build a relationship that will last. And so, of course, I went to my partner, and I said, Robin, let's do this message together, and let's come up with 10 rhythms, right? 10 foundations, 10 pillars that we've built our marriage on. And so I said, you come up with your 5, and I'll come up with my 5, because you only have so much time. And I thought, there may be some overlap. And as it turns out, they were completely different. Her 5 were completely different from my 5. And I was like, you know what? That's how it's meant to be. Because each of you brings something to the table that strengthens it and strengthens that relationship. So here we are.
Here we are.
And
yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day, honey.
Thank you. You really surprised me. There's flowers and chocolate.
I'm getting better.
I'm in love.
Yeah. So repeat after me. Resolutions. With rhythms. Results in success. You want to have success in your relationships. Yes, we need to make resolutions. Resolutions are agreements that we make with ourselves, with God, with others, concerning something that we see that needs to change in our lives. So resolutions are good. Say, resolutions are good. They are. I make New Year resolutions. I make resolutions during my birthdays. I evaluate my life. I look at things that need to change, maybe about my finances, maybe about my relationships, maybe about my health. But the resolutions are good. They're agreements. We're seeing something that can be better. And so we make that agreement with ourselves, with God, with others who come alongside us and help us. But too often people make resolutions without the rhythms. The rhythms are the habits that are formed that help you to keep the resolutions. So resolutions with rhythms equal results. And so Rob and I, we have come together now here with 10 rhythms that we'd like to share with you. And our goal is that you will make them your rhythms. Now, obviously, there's more than 10, and some of you will have some different than we have, because obviously we had 5 that were very different, each of us. And so we want to encourage you, though, to take these 10 rhythms and to talk about them. So in a relationship that you want to build to last forever, to last, work on each one a week. So there's 10, so it'll be 10 weeks. So you start with 1, and by the time you get with week 3, don't forget 1 and 2. Keep work on those, build it up, and we believe that these 10 rhythms will help you to build a relationship that lasts. So I think I began the rhythm with rhythm number 1, which I believe is the key to any relationship that's going to last, and that is to forgive quickly, to forgive easily. So you're going to see a meme, and there's a young girl there, and she's pondering, she's thinking in her head, well, I apologize to him in my heart, and if he don't hear it, that's on him. Well, that's not exactly what I was thinking here concerning this first rhythm of forgiving quickly. Listen, in any relationship, it doesn't really matter who you're married to. And I'm married to a very gentle, spirited person. It doesn't cross your boundaries. But it really doesn't matter you're in a marriage or you're in a friendship, whatever relationship you're in. That person is going to say something eventually or do something that's going to hurt you, that's going to wound you, that's going to disappoint you. And so you need to know in advance, not be surprised, they hurt me. No. They're going to you're going to be in a relationship. They're going to say things or do things that are going to bother you. So you need to be ready. You need to be quick to forgive. Otherwise, what's going to happen is these grudges are going to build up in your heart, and then those grudges are going to turn to resentment. That resentment is going to turn to bitterness, and you're going to be full of anger toward the other person, and then that anger is going to spill out into your other relationships. So I love the scriptures. It's so practical. Ephesians 4, the Apostle Paul tells us, what to do about that anger and how to handle it. So he says, in your anger, do not sin. Now, he doesn't say don't be angry. He says, when you're angry, there's a way to hit the mark, because sin is amartia, which means you miss the mark. So there's a way of reaching the mark, of doing something with your anger that will be beneficial and helpful and not hurtful. He says, do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. Forgive as God has forgiven you. And so, wow, 39 years, and you've had to do a lot of forgiving over those 39 years. I haven't really had to do too much, but every once in a while I would. So on Saturday nights, when I was the main speaker, lead pastor here, and preaching every Sunday, it seemed like we saw a pattern of us getting in fights on Saturday nights.
Saturday nights.
It was crazy. It was like, every Saturday night. And because I really believe the scriptures and I take it literally, so I would keep us up all night, because I didn't want to be standing on Sunday morning preaching and have an ought against you, or you have an ought against me. And so I literally sometimes would keep us up all night until we would
trying to solve a problem. Yes, and trying to fix a problem. And so it says, don't let the sun go down while you're still angry, right? So that means that you should have all the problem fixed by 6:38 or something, whenever the sun sets, right? And so we tried. Yeah, we did our best. Yeah. But what ends up happening is that the emotions begin to really increase, and then you end up saying and doing things that you regret later on. So I think that, and one of the things that we've learned is that sometimes it's really wise to step away, just to get in your own space and to allow yourself to calm down. Sometimes you need the rest. And what we've discovered is that as we rest and step away, and then we wake up the next day, one of two things happens. The first is that you realize, oh my gosh, that was the stupidest fight we ever had in our lives. Yeah, what was the deal there? I'm so sorry. But then the other thing is you realize, okay, this really is an issue, and we're going to need to deal with it. But Saturday night wasn't the night.
Yeah, so the principle in not letting the sun go down on your anger is deal with it. Not right then. Sometimes you need to take a couple days. So what we decided, once we began to see these patterns on Saturdays of us fighting, and sometimes on the way to church, I know none of y'all have ever experienced that before. Sorry, but we kind of made an agreement. We said, okay, if we see something that's going to stir some emotions that could result in us having anger, right? We would wait until Monday.
Wait until Monday. Yeah, so and hold that anger.
Yeah.
Let's deal with it on Monday.
Yeah. So we would deal with it though. We'd find a safe time to be able to deal with it when the emotions had kind of decreased. So the principle there is don't let that anger become a grudge. Don't let it sit there and become resentment and bitterness. So deal with it. Deal with those things. So that's why we really encourage you, those of you who have not had an opportunity yet, to go through the restoration manual. It's free. We wrote that together, or we are one now. So I know that you wrote it, but can I have some credit for the restoration? All right, thank you. So we wrote that together. I think I added a word or two, so I get some credit. But it really will help you deal with some of the wounds in the relationships that you want to build so that they last. So let's look at rhythm number 2.
All right, rhythm number 2: get support from others, counselors, friends, family.
Doctor. So you see there a meme that I have, a doctor asking the patient, so are you involved in any dangerous sports? And so the guy says, well, sometimes I disagree with my wife. Now, this would never apply to you. I just want you to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
So Proverbs 15:22 says, without counsel, plans fail, but with advisors, they succeed. And so when I was thinking about this one, I actually thought of the Dead Sea outside of Israel, and we went there. It was a really, really cool place. But what makes it a Dead Sea, that fish can't swim there, is that there is no fresh water that's coming into it. And in the same way, sometimes we get stagnant when we don't have input from other people in our lives, wise counselors, or really good, trusted friends. And the time not, or the place not to share the problems that you're having in your marriage, it's not Facebook, it's not social, it's not the social sites that you're gonna get on, or it's not a large prayer group, right? I have an unspoken, we used to say this in our church. I have an unspoken prayer request.
Yeah, and I was always the unspoken. They knew it.
So
they always knew it.
So that is
So
not.
Thank you for stop doing that. I really appreciate that you don't do that anymore. Yeah.
We're gonna have to go home and practice number 1. All right. So I really want to encourage you that if you need to, it's okay to connect with a counselor, because, or a really trusted friend, because they're going to help you to see the truth. And sometimes the truth is that you're a part of the problem too, right? And somebody who's a really trusted friend or somebody who is a good counselor is going to help you see that, and it's going to help you navigate through some of those issues. And you know, we've been through marriage counseling, but there was a time when Len didn't want to go. So, you know, if you're at a place where your spouse doesn't want to go, but you really feel like you need it, go alone. It's worth it.
You know, because I thought our marriage is great, you know. I didn't realize that she actually wanted me to talk to her. Come on. And so, and it was humbling. We were in seminary. I'm getting ready to graduate, getting ready to be a pastor, and she wants to go see marriage counseling. But it was the best thing we ever did. But it was humbling. It was difficult, but it was the best thing.
It was great.
Best thing we ever did.
We needed it.
So healthy relationships take a village. They take others. And in Overflow Church, we would say it this way: healthy relationships take missional community. So I want to encourage you to be in a missional community. It will help strengthen your relationships, which leads us to rhythm number 3. Focus on the positive. Whatever you focus on is going to grow. So if you focus on the positive in your relationship, whether it's a friendship with your children or your marriage, that's what's going to grow. If you focus on the negative, then that's what's going to grow as well. So whatever you focus on will determine the direction of your relationship. So you see the meme there, and guys, this is really good advice. So always love a woman for her personality. They have like 10, so you can choose.
Okay, obviously a woman did not have any say in which memes were shown here today.
Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry, right?
Okay. So in Revelation, it begins with Jesus writing 7 letters to the churches in the country of Turkey today. And I love what he says to the church of Ephesus. And Jesus is writing this letter. What would he say to Overflow? So this is what he said to the church of Ephesus. You know what? You are dutiful. I see all the things that you're doing. You're doing the work of the ministry. But I have this one thing against you. You've lost your first love. You've forgotten why you are doing all these things for the ministry. Why you're doing all these things for me. And you know, the Bible is so practical. This is what Jesus said to the church in Ephesus. Go back and do the things that you did at first. Go back and remember why you started doing those things. So I have said to couples on many occasions, you know, if you've lost that love and feeling, right, your marriage or your relationship has become stagnant or boring, or it's become, toxic, go back and remember why you fell in love in the first place. What was it about that person that attracted you? What did you admire about them? What did you like about them? Because those things are still there. I promise. They're still there. But what happens is you begin to focus on the negative, And by the way, those things were there as well. You know that? In that person. But in the early years, the early months, early weeks of the relationship, you just choose not to see those things. You choose to focus on the positives, the things that you love about them, because they're complimenting you. Just like when I said to Robin, hey, will you help me do this message? Let's come up, with 10 rhythms or 10 pillars, 10 foundations that we built our marriage on. And she had 5. I mean, there was no overlapping. She had 5 completely different than I. And I thought, wow, that makes sense, because each of us are bringing something to the marriage, but it also means there's something we're not bringing to the marriage as well. There are weaknesses, there are blind spots. So the Bible says in 1 Thessalonians 5:18, and I love this passage, give thanks in all circumstances. Now, the all circumstances he's talking about are the difficult ones, right? It's easy to give thanks when everything is going good. But it's during the difficult circumstances is what he's saying, give thanks. For this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. And I think the Bible is so practical. And the reason why it says to give thanks even when things are tough, because it's impossible to give thanks to someone, to be appreciative, to say, I admire this in you, and also to be negative and critical. It is impossible, because your focus is on that which you appreciate, that which you love about them. So if you're continually giving thanks, man, you're going to keep the negative out of your marriage. And so I just want to encourage you, stay focused on the positive, because whatever you're focusing on, that's what's growing. So if you have a negative marriage, or if you have a negative relationship, then you're focusing on the wrong things. You need to say thank you a lot. You need to say I appreciate you and I admire you. And that's one of the things that I'm intentionally doing that with Robin, is to say the things that, every little thing. I said, she makes dinner. I thank her every time for dinner, whatever else that I see.
And I like the verse in Philippians chapter 4 where it says to fix your thoughts. And that word fix, to me, it's like, okay, this is an intentional thing, right? It doesn't happen by accident. You make a decision to fix your thoughts on what is true, what is honorable, what is pure, what is lovely, what is admirable. And when you focus on those things, then what's the end result? It says that the God of peace, will be with you.
Which leads us to rhythm number 4.
All right, number 4, communicate. Communicate your hopes, your dreams, your fears, your disappointments, and allow your spouse to share theirs.
And listen to one another. So you see, the meme I have, it's a wife, and she's pregnant, and she's sending her husband out on a really important assignment. Actually, you sent me out on this assignment. Get whatever baby monitor you think is best. I trust your judgment. So how many times did I bring an iguana home, a blue-tongued skink, a ghost lizard?
Too many.
Luke and I counted our turtles last night. We had 18 turtles, and then 6 tortoises outside. So one day I'm going to bring home that baby monitor. I just want you to know that, because we have 2 grandchildren coming up. So I'm going to get the right one.
A puppy's good enough for me.
Oh, so stay with me here, all right?
All right,
Stay with me.
all right.
All right. So you see the next meme, stimulus hits. Remember when the government sent us checks, and if you had more children, you had a bigger check. So the wife says, honey, please, don't buy something that you don't need. That's me right there. I'm bringing home Stemba, right? Stemba. So me and my 4 sons, we've always talked about what it'd be like to own a lion. Oh, it'd be so cool.
All right, so moving on.
No, we got one more. No, we got one more. So, by the way, I just want to say up front, this would never apply to you, this one. All right, this one's for all the guys out there. This one doesn't. So if a woman says to you, just do what you want. Do not do what you want. Stand still. Do not blink. Do not answer. Don't even breathe. Just play dead.
I get to pick the memes next time. All right. So 1 Peter 3:7 says to honor your wife, treat her with respect and understanding as you live together. And I think there's a misconception about women that all women want or need is love. But we see here that the scripture says no, women need respect as well. And then there's a passage in Ephesians 5 that says, wives, respect your husband. But I'm here to say that husbands need love too.
Yes, we do.
That I see love and respect as two sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other. So men need love. Women need love. Men and women, husbands and wives, need to be heard.
Yes.
They need to be able to express their thoughts and their feelings and their emotions without feeling shamed or ridiculed, but where they can be vulnerable in a safe place.
And you know, this communication, it comes easier for one of you. Like for me, I literally had no idea, no clue on. I knew how to get married. I didn't know how to have a happy. I didn't know how to really communicate with this communication expert that I was married to, who wanted me to talk to her, and so I needed help. I needed someone to teach me.
He says when he grew up, all they did was grunt at each other.
Yeah, we did. We just grunted, and played football together, and got
Right.
in fights, and you know. So to actually talk to you, and you kept saying to me, you know, Len, you're a dutiful husband. You do all the right things. It's like Jesus when he wrote to the church Ephesus, but I don't have your heart. I want your heart. And I would say, honey, I don't really know how to give you my heart. You're going to have to teach me that. I don't really know how. So communication
it's
is
about
a skill.
communication. Yeah, and communication is a skill. It's something that comes naturally to some, but not so naturally to others. But it doesn't mean you can't learn it. When you were a baby, you didn't know how to walk. And guess what? You learned how to walk. You fell down a bunch of times, but you learned it. When you got a job, there was a skill set that you had to learn, and maybe there was a vertical learning curve, but you did it. You learned it. And so communication is the same way. It's a skill, and it's something that you can learn, and there's so many really good resources out there. Great YouTube videos, podcasts, TED Talks.
Len Talks. I love those. Len Talks are awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. My boys love the Len Talks, by the way.
Right.
They're right here in the front.
yeah, it's brought a lot of nightmares, hasn't it, babies? But I just want to say to never make excuses for not knowing how to communicate your thoughts and your feelings. You have to start somewhere. So share yours and allow the other to share theirs as well.
Yeah, don't just say, well, I'm a lion beaver personality. You know, we don't talk. We accomplish things. Didn't go over real well with you, did it?
No. Len always wanted to show me that he loved me by beating me in basketball or a game.
Beating you. I'm glad she, like, you know,
Yeah, not
finished
that kind.
You know.
Oh, wait, we're on Facebook Live.
Yes, we are.
Oh.
I've never beat her, all right?
No, I know, right?
But you know, she was like, she could play everything. She could play, I mean, when we were in college, we'd play 2-on-2 in basketball, and we'd win, and she could play football, golf, tennis. You were like you were like everything I ever dreamed of.
Almost like we were made for each
More,
other.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So rhythm number 5. I really love rhythm number 5. Cover each other's mistakes. And I just want to say thank you for never putting our fights on Facebook. I've had some of my friends who've told me that their wives have done that, or they shared all their problems at work, and then later on they found out about it. So thank you for covering my mistakes and not exposing them, not putting them out there. Not calling your mom every time I messed up again. I do appreciate that. So rhythm number 5, cover each other's mistakes. And you see the meme there. This is from Game of Thrones, the little guy. When your girl's in a bad mood and she starts to take it out on you. And so you see him, I'm here to help. Don't eat the help. And he's looking at the dragon, you know. You're not a dragon, by the way. All right, this has nothing to do with you. All right? You've never been a dragon. This is just a meme. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
All right.
Just a meme.
1 Peter 4:8. Love covers a multitude of sin. So never belittle another person. Your children in front of other people, obviously your spouse, your friends, your coworkers, or your boss, unless you want to get fired, then that would be good. You know, tell all the workers everything's wrong with your boss, all their faults. That's a good way to end that job, end that employment. And especially in front of her friends, her family, that will shut off. Because, you know, we all have them. We all have faults. We can't see our own, but we can see hers, right? Or she can see ours. And so it's best just to give grace and to say, you know what, this is what I love about you. Of course, you don't have any faults, so you're good. So I don't have to worry about covering up yours. So this principle is for everyone else. All right. So Proverbs 19:11. I guess I better move on here. Sensible people, when she's quiet, I know to move on. Have you all learned that, by the way? Yeah. All right. Proverbs 19:11. Sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs, by overlooking offenses. So, you know, sometimes, you know, if it doesn't really matter, you know, it's just not going to be repeated. Just give grace and move on.
So there is an exception to this, and that exception is if you are in an abusive relationship. If there is physical or emotional battering and you don't feel safe at home, then the recommendation is to get out and get help.
Yes.
Don't just get out, but get help.
Yeah. So if it's abusive and toxic, then yeah, you need to go get help.
Yeah. All right, so rhythm number 6, serve one another.
Well, I loved this meme. This man, he picks up his wife's cell phone, and he says, well, I saw a contact that was saved in the phone. It said, food delivery guy, and so he says, I was hungry, so I dialed it to order the food, and it was his own cell phone that rang, so yeah.
Galatians 5:13.
No comment on that one. Wow.
No comment. Next time I'm doing the memes. Serve one another humbly in love. And as I really like this one, that we need to find creative ways to be kind to each other. And I know there's only so many ways you can make brownies, but make brownies.
Triple fudge, quadruple fudge, extra chocolate, just...
Yes, and share responsibilities for the home. You know those little babies that are running around in your home? Well, it took 2 of you to make them, so make sure that you have responsibilities shared for the raising of those little ones.
I think I did okay in that, didn't I?
You were a good daddy.
All right.
You are a good daddy, sorry.
Thank you. Like even now, I actually wash the clothes now and put them in the dryer. Of course, the washing machine and dryer does all the work, but you know, I do put them in there. Yeah, it is funny. Yeah.
No, you're really good at that.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Rhythm number 7. So be consistent as you serve one another. So you see there the meme of the little guy, and he's thinking, and he said, you know, I just read that 4,890,677 people got married last year. I don't want to cause any trouble, but shouldn't the number be even? You know, unless somebody married himself, right? So be consistent as you serve one another, as you do number 6, not just on special days like tomorrow, Valentine's Day. Now, don't miss those special days, by the way, because that'll be the end. But not just on the special days, birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, or for me, most of the time when I really made sure that I served you or did something special was I blown it days. You ever have any of those I blown it days? So whenever I would go and put flowers on the table, my sons would always say to me, so what'd you do this time, Dad? Those are the I've blown it days. But I didn't always just give you flowers on those days, all right? So anyway, so I better move on here. So a great marriage is doing the little things in a great way. A great marriage is doing the little things consistently every day, because a little adds up over time. A little adds up. If you keep doing it over and over every day, it's going to add up. And so as I was just kind of thinking about what would be an illustration of something that you would do every day that really adds up. And then, wow, years later, 39 years, honey, wow, it's really added up. Good job, all right. So I thought about when we decided to homeschool our children. I was 38, Luke was in second grade. And so I said, okay, honey, I'll be the principal, I'll be the enforcer, and I'll be the gym teacher. Yeah. So we started exercising. We started doing 3 sets of push-ups and sit-ups and jumping jacks and knee bends. I know they have such fond memories of those days. And then just before I turned 40, I would get a physical exam every 10 years, the only time I ever went to a doctor. And so the doctor said this to me. He says, well, you're turning 40, which means, things are, I can see you're in really great shape now. You're very athletic, and I just want to prepare you that, things are going to start breaking down now that you're going into your 40s. And I'm like, no, I don't come into agreement with that. And so even though I was exercising 3 days a week, I started running 3 days a week. And I decided to add up those miles. So I went and I added up how many miles I've ridden, because I've not stopped. So it's been 20 years, and it's been over 12,500 miles. That means I've run to San Diego and back, San Diego and back. I'm in San Diego right now getting ready to run back to you guys again. So you know what? Being a weekend warrior at exercise or whatever it is, it's not going to work. It's not good for you. They tell you better to do 30 minutes a day, than 2 hours on the weekend. And it's the same thing with your marriage. It's really every day watching your words, every day being positive with your words, not always criticizing, not always saying you can do it better this way, and doing things to serve one another. It's the little things that count. If you want a great marriage, do the little things in a great way. You have a great marriage or a great friendship, whatever the relationship. These principles could be applied to any relationship, not just to a marriage. But being Valentine's Day tomorrow, we decided to kind of apply it to marriage. So, rhythm number 8.
Rhythm number 8, become self-aware.
Now, I actually loved these. I got 3 memes here. You're going to love, well, maybe not. Anyway, you'll love them, all right? So the first one is this lady, they're in bed, they're both thinking, and so she's thinking, I bet he's thinking about other women. And this is what he's thinking about. If Jesus stood on a river, would he stand still or move down the river like on a conveyor belt? Man, I could so identify with that. I mean, my mind just never turns off, especially at night. And so I love it. And the next one, she's thinking, is he thinking about me as he's running? No, he's thinking about, if he sees another runner, he wants to pass him. I don't know how many times I saw a runner, I'm going to pass that one. Or even a car, I was thinking about you too when I was running. Okay. And the next one, once again, the lady, she's thinking, I bet he's thinking about another woman. And him, he's thinking about his boat. It has a spark. It has fuel. Why won't it work? Why won't it start? Yeah, I hear you, friend. Yeah, or car, right?
All right, so know who you are and what you bring to the relationship. Be confident and be happy within yourself, right? Not to be overly dependent on the other person. So it's important to do things together, and we're going to talk about that. But it's also important to go out with friends without the spouse, or feel comfortable with your spouse going out with their friends without you. And friends, they're like spice and flavoring to life. Yeah. And they add so much to you. And when you come back, you're actually a better person. You're more well-rounded. You're more enjoyable to be with. And when you are overly dependent on your spouse, it becomes kind of a codependent relationship, right? So it's really important just to make sure that you have some times where you can get away and have fun.
And it's good to have friends together as well. So you want to have mutual friends, mutual contacts, But you want to have your friends, and she's okay, and then you have your friends, because you're not going to enjoy doing everything together. So things that that you don't really like doing, like amusement parks, I'd go with my boys and we'd have a good time, and that was your day to be alone.
Yeah, and we go axe throwing, right, Aaron?
Yeah. So rhythm number 9. Now some of you are going to think this is a bit odd. Lower your expectations. I love this meme. I think I'm good with this meme, by the way. I think I passed on this one. So you see the little boy who won 3rd place? He's so excited, and the guy who won 1st place is like, what? So you see that happiness is a state of mind. So be careful of unrealistic expectations. So when I performed the wedding ceremony for couples, I said, well, I want to meet with you 4 times before the wedding, 2 times afterwards, because I don't want to just, get you married. I want to help you to make your marriage last, what we're talking about this morning. One of my sessions is all about lowering your expectations, because often what happens is 2 people go into a marriage and they're hoping that the other person is going to make them happy. Listen, what makes a happy marriage are 2 happy people. You bring that happiness together. So when you're overly dependent on that person to make you happy, then they're going to let you down. So you need to watch your expectations. Just be content and be thankful and appreciative for what they are bringing to the table. And for the most part, they're not going to change. Who they are, they may be a little softer, right? I'm a little softer, but for the most part, that person that you married 39 years ago, he's still in here.
Yeah, but you're a big softy now.
Oh, big softy.
Big one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's another fist bump on that one. I'll take it.
Yeah, but we have unmet expectations and often unexpressed expectations, and people don't meet our expectations, or our friends or our spouses don't meet them. We kind of expect them to be able to read our minds, right? To say, you should know. No, you have to verbalize it, right? So that makes a big difference too.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, my turn.
Yes,
Last
rhythm number
one.
10.
Have fun together.
So you see the meme up there. So you see married life summed up. So he wrote on the cake, go away. You've already ate yours, right? So.
Yeah, he does that. It's like if it's chocolate, then it's all his. But
everything else I'll share though.
Yeah. Yeah, all the vegetables. You were
Yeah,
really
you
good
have
at
vegetables.
sharing. Yeah, he's really good at sharing vegetables.
Here, you
But
can have mine too, hon.
But make great memories and do a variety of things that you enjoy together. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure about when we came up here today is not to leave the impression that we have it all together, and not to leave the impression that we have a perfect marriage or a perfect relationship. We don't. We've had to work through some of these things. We've had dark days, we've had dark weeks.
Yeah.
And, we've had to just be intentional about keeping moving forward. There's a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, and he said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving. And that's what we want to encourage you all with in your relationships, that even if you're crawling, keep moving. It's worth it. 39 years, baby.
Yeah.
Woo!
All right. I think we're going to make it to 40.
I think we're making it to 42.
See, I told you I'd prove your parents wrong. I told them. I said, we're going to do this. All right. So there is something that she doesn't know about. She didn't know about the Valentine's telegram, and there's another thing, too. So Robin has been wonderful over the years in writing me Valentine's cards and birthday cards and these love notes. And she would hide them. And so she could have written one a month, and I would find it in my drawers underneath my pants, whatever. I never knew how long they'd been there. And so I've kept them. I have a folder, a really thick folder of all the love notes that Robin has given me over the years. And one I had to print out because It was on her homeschool blog, and she entitled it, "I'm Married to a Great Man." And I just want you to know, Robin, there have been many days where I did not feel like a great man. I felt like a failure. As a husband, as a father, as a pastor, I was discouraged. And I kept this, and I would read it because you believed in me. So I want to read what she said. So, I'm married to a great man. There are many things that make him the greatest. But I have to say that the thing at the top of my list is the way he loves our children. He really is a good man. He hugs each of his boys. He holds their hands. He plays basketball with them. He coaches their team. He teaches them about God and how to live according to his ways. He tells each of them how special they are and how God is going to use them. He tells them that someday they are going to grow up to be godly men. Someday they are going to be successful. Someday they are going to have godly wives and children. He gives them hope and direction. He is always on their side. If there is someone who ever threatens them or gives them a hard time, he is there for them, protecting them and teaching them how to stand up for themselves, how to stand on their own. If they are sick, he is there praying over them. He protects our family night, our Friday family night, each week, and is faithful with the brownies and ice cream. Now, that didn't take too much discipline there. No meeting is more important to him than that night's family night. He is a good man. And on top of all that, I know that he loves me. He buys me flowers and almost everything I've ever put on my Christmas list or birthday list. I want to know what those almost what ones I missed.
I don't even remember. It's not important.
Okay, sorry. He loves to hug me, and he tells me how special I am to him. That means the whole world to me. I am married to a great man. So.
That was nice.
So I want you to stand with me.